Welcome to the Doo Divas Smells Like Money podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Chin Taylor, CEO and founder of Creative Raven, the firm that helps wastewater industry contractors and manufacturers unlock the power of digital marketing, AI, and PR to boost sales and opportunities. Whether it's through our online marketing and lead generation programs or providing a fully outsourced marketing department, we are passionate about helping businesses in the wastewater and civil infrastructure sectors not just survive, but thrive in today's digital world. Each episode, I'll be bringing you expert tips and strategies to help you grow and succeed. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Doo Divas Smells Like Money podcast. We are continuing our visit with Ken Micah, who is the regional manager of Tetra Tech. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So last time we were talking about all of the wonderful things that the ASCE, standing for the American Society of Civil Engineers, is doing, and how they're really at the forefront of pushing forward the importance of innovation. We touched a little on AI and the things that they are behind. And today I really wanted to have the conversation with you. And some people, this may make them very, very uncomfortable, but I think it's a conversation we need to have about the adoption of new technology and our willingness to do this. And as engineers and public officials, we know that, protecting public health, safety of the public is tantamount. We can't let that go. But we need to look at how can we incorporate technology safely, not be willing to, as you said in the last episode, put a Band-Aid on it, but to truly find things to take us. And you said what was that, Ken? The fourth industrial revolution, that how are we going to keep up as society? Again, without putting the public at risk, but knowing that we have to make these changes. And especially now that we have fewer people in the workforce being tasked to do these jobs, we're trying to solve that problem. But at the same time, until we do, we need to embrace technology. And I also think technology is going to be the thing that's going to incentivize young people to be interested in entering our field and our industry as a career, because they don't see us as old and stodgy and been there, done that we're looking to be on the cutting edge. We're looking for ways to make what we do exciting and innovative. And so with that, I want to open up the floor to you to talk about you shared with me that you gave a presentation, a keynote a little while back on this topic, and don't want to give a spoiler alert, but let you lead in with that and tell us what you shared in this talk and where do we go from here?
Sure. So in September, I gave a keynote presentation at CECon, a very large civil engineering conference in Texas, and it was on where ASCE is going. And recently, in the last couple of years, ASCE reanalyzed its strategic plan, came up with 6 strategic shifts, and set forth for the next few years on where the society needs to go to get ourselves ready for the future of infrastructure community. Part of that was reanalyzing our governance and truly understanding what we need to be as a governing body. But that further took us down a rabbit hole where we started analyzing our orthodox beliefs that we believe are paramount to our profession, but actually could be detrimental to our profession at the same time. Beliefs that could potentially, we might hold against us pretty strongly, but those beliefs might not be the reason why we're not advancing as we need to with technology. And so one of those beliefs, and depending on I'm not going to advocate say it's the right belief or the wrong belief, was basically saying only to be a civil engineer, you have to be a PE. And, that was a belief that was discussed many times throughout that process and analyzing, is that true or is that not true? And at the end of the day, we agreed that, if a civil engineer is going to be stamping and holding the health, safety, and welfare of the public at the forefront, yes, you need to be a PE to get it through in the United States for that jurisdiction. However, there are many individuals that can be civil engineers that work on your team. And so that it's opening up further and further. And as we discussed in the last episode, the society is inviting all infrastructure professionals into the organization because we need all of them, because the technology is advancing. For us to be more innovative in the infrastructure community, we have to analyze these orthodox beliefs. For example, we are doing a lot more now with AI. Say that, it's a choice, but I think in the near future, we're going to say it's not going to be a choice because there's many avenues that AI can better support what we're doing. And I'll go into that further in a little bit. But if you look at what we're trying to do with autonomous vehicles, civil engineers are really good at designing roads, putting up streetlights and putting up stoplights, and then also determining, okay, what is the flow of this going on here? But what we don't have in-house is all the technology individuals that we need to be part of our team. Those that are the computer programmers, those that are advancing the sensors that are being used, whether it's photographic sensing or is it LiDAR? We need those individuals on our team as well, and we need to help our innovation because those are the individuals that are going to help us with the autonomous vehicles. And so we truly need to open up and be more open to the other individuals that are working in our profession now to further advance the infrastructure initiative, because somebody's going to do it. The question is it going to be us or somebody else? And obviously everybody I know wants it to be us. And so that's where we need to become more innovative with certain changes. Well, we are risk adverse because we are trying to keep the health, safety, and welfare of the general public at the forefront of everything we do. We need to start figuring out, okay, what risk can be looked at closer, and is it really a risk, and how do we bring it, maintain the health, safety, and welfare of the general public, but still allow technology to advance at the speed it is. Because at some point, one thing's going to take the lead, and obviously as engineers, wanting to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the general public, we want to be at the forefront to do that for everyone in society. So
when we were offline, we spoke, early on about, especially when it comes to water treatment and wastewater treatment infrastructure in our systems and our plants, in that there are so many great new technologies, what I would call, where they disrupt with that term, they're disruptive. They're really disruptive, and you can see the potential, but it's getting across or past that barrier of someone willing to say, let me try this. And I want to throw out the challenge to you, because you had mentioned there has to be ways, or there are ways that we can look at some of these new technologies and not be willing to just keep designing the same old thing, or because there's more I&I and more flow coming in, okay, we'll just make the plant bigger.
mm-hmm.
Well, maybe that's not the answer. Maybe the answer is to make what we've got more efficient, more powerful, bolting something else on. There was a gentleman that we had on the podcast from the South Platte Renew in Colorado, where they actually put a testing facility at the plant so that new technologies could actually test on their trailers on a true wastewater stream. And if it worked out, the plant would find a way to incorporate it if it made sense to do that. But I think it's also, it is that willingness to look outside that comfort zone.
Absolutely. Well,
what did he call it? We are in charge. He says, we are optimizing. We're looking for ways to optimize what we already have.
Absolutely. A lot of wastewater plants, they're landlocked. Everything's been built around them, or they're on a waterway that's been built to water, and the only place for them to go is up, which is usually not economical. Right. Vertical construction with wastewater is never, or I shouldn't say never, but it's not economical. Right. And so how do we do more? There are so many technologies, and we've seen the advancement actually, I think more because of PFAS and all the different companies that are wanting to go after the PFAS work. We're seeing accelerated advancements there. And a lot of these companies have realized batch systems that you can add on to a system might be the better effect, because you are landlocked. There is nowhere to build out. So how do we add in? And so a lot of companies are looking at those innovative ways. I know myself personally, in the industry I work in, we are always trying to do treatability studies and batch studies early on in the process to make it work, or to see if the technology will work at the end of the day. And so a lot of companies and a lot of private entities need to start looking at that. Now, the hard side, especially on the wastewater and drinking water as well, a lot of it is publicly owned treatment work, and it's really hard to break the mold. And so one option is, how do we find better ways to do private-public partnerships to truly start looking at these changes? As you brought up, going bigger is not always better. I completely agree. Having that idea of innovation, are we moving with our technology to a point where we could actually start turning our very large treatment systems into a more micro systems with add-ons that you can take on and off based on your industry change? If you look at the Rust Belt of the United States, where all the manufacturers were at one point, or many of the major ones, they're disappearing or they had disappeared. And a lot of the water treatment systems in those areas are oversized now at this point because they're not taking in all that wastewater anymore, or they have technologies that just aren't needed anymore. I know of one water treatment plant. They're trying to take everybody's industrial wastewater from far away just to keep water going through the pipes because it was oversized for the old industrial area that they were working through.
Mm.
Looking now as times are changing, many places are looking to, do we need to add PFAS onto our treatment train? Other places are looking, well, are we just getting more water because of how industry is now treating more of their own water based on the permitting that is going on because we can't upgrade for all these changing technologies. So as things are changing, we need to start looking at it with our wastewater because it is a struggle on getting the funding for them. How do we better change as our industry is changing, as the world is changing? Here in the Great Lakes, we keep talking data centers because we have the Great Lakes here and
Yes.
all the water that is required for treatment of data center. How are we going to handle that? So we need to become more innovative in that regard. Just like with everybody's starting to look at battery power now on the power grid. That's another area of innovation where, based on past practices, we wouldn't be able to do it. But opening up our mind, going against our orthodox beliefs, and trying to realize what we can do with more people at the table can do many more things for our advancement of society and helping us still keep everyone healthy and safe at the end of the day.
So, in your keynote, because I just had a gentleman, it's the podcast is going to be airing in a little bit. He is an authority in geothermal energy.
Mhm.
And we talked about that, what you just mentioned about being able to harness energy that's coming in from the heat of sewage. It's there now that there are ways to harness that in order to use that in order to supply the cooling that is going to be needed at a data center. And so it's, as an engineer, I'd like to know your take on it as what you would tell your peers. What's the challenge? What are some of the things that we as engineers need to start doing and looking at, or maybe changing our mindset to avail ourselves of some of these other emerging things that we know have a great potential for solving this upcoming, like you were just saying, I see the need, the water usage on the data centers. I'm seeing that quickly potentially becoming a disaster. Maybe not a disaster, but something where it's going to put a lot of stress on our resources that we may not be prepared for.
Now, that's a very good point. And it's going to put a lot of stress on the water cycle, especially the water that's getting pulled out from that water body. It's going to put a lot of stress on the treatment system if they're not going to have an on-site treatment system
Right.
to the local POTW. Another area is the energy grid. I just saw a presentation the other day by a power company where they were saying what the potential demand is going to be of them to produce power based on what is being asked for these data centers. And we know we need the data centers because we're advancing on the technology side.
Right.
So at the end of the day, we need to stop saying, no, we can't do this because it's never been done before, and going, how do we do this? How do we proceed? I know early in my career, I was told never say no. And there was a time where I was asked, can you go work on a boat? And I'm like, why would I want to work on a boat? I like staying on land. And next, I spent 2 weeks on a boat and I loved it. And I spent the next 10 years on boats working. And it was the greatest thing in the world. And unfortunately, I worked up in my career and I can't go out as much anymore. But saying no is what ends our potential. It's when we say yes and let's figure out how do we do it is how we advance it. And while there is risk in bringing up new technologies, there's a lot of different areas where we could look and say, okay, we might not have a one-to-one trade-off here in our industry here, but what about this other industry over there that might be, a different industry that's already looking at something similar. You brought up the whole energy system and, the wastewater treatment thermal. There's a wastewater treatment system, POTW, that I'm aware of that's already using the energy recovery from the wastewater treatment and using that to power the wastewater treatment system. Okay, what can we do to better that system and help, these data centers? Renewable energy, there's always discussion about new renewable energy. What else is there that we can use to help with the data centers? What else can we use for the water cycle? What else is available? Because you're right, it's going to take a lot of water. Here in the Great Lakes, we're seeing a lot of them come in, or at least be proposed at this time. It's because we have a ton of water, fresh water here, unlike other parts of the country. I also know those other parts of the country are also looking at the Great Lakes because they want the water to be piped over to them so they have water to drink. And so we really need to start looking at all this and figuring that out. I know there's one community that, based on agreements between Canada and the United States regarding water and the divide, that because of where they sit on the divide, they're able to pump some of the water out of the Great Lake over to their community. But then they're required, all wastewater has to go into a ditch that goes back to the Great Lake. And so at least that way that they're returning the water at that point back to the Great Lake. So that was an innovative idea instead of just sending it wherever. We need to start looking at more of those opportunities to help us understand, okay, this might not have worked now, but what can we do to change it and be innovative to take it on into the future?
So, what have you seen of later you've been involved with that has been a groundbreaking innovation that you decided to okay, we're going to take a shot on this, where you really saw it make an impact for your
Yeah, one area that I think is making an impact, I work heavily in the remediation industry. And with the remediation world, there's some sites that we're trying to clean up, old brownfield sites, contaminated sites. We can do it reasonably. And it worked. But there's other sites that there's not enough money in the world, I feel, that could actually clean these up the way that they are contaminated. And so then we started looking at, okay, what can we do at least to make it achieve a safe and health environment for both us as humans, the aquatic life that is around, the land-based life that's around, so that we could still enjoy it again, and we started taking the same materials that are used for water treatment, granular activated carbon, and started mixing that with sand and to start capturing any type of liquid contaminants that might come through the water column so that the area could be cleaned up. And just that simple idea of taking what we use for water treatment and in a bulk setting and putting it into a simple land-based application here in Wisconsin, where I'm from. Wisconsin, which most people don't know this, we have pelicans, but we lost all of our pelicans because of the contamination and because of the cleanup that was done. And they weren't able to clean it all, but they were able to put certain aspects in place. The pelicans have come back because the fish have cleaned up, because the fish have come back because the microbes that are at the bottom of the sediment are clean again for them to eat. And, it's not us telling them, putting up a sign telling the fish don't eat the microbes, it's unhealthy. It's because the aquatic life and everything is coming back to its normal state prior to the Industrial Revolution here. And so we have pelicans again here in Wisconsin, which most people never even knew that, and I didn't know that until they started cleaning up that was a natural bird here.
Wow. It's just a testament when you hear things like that my managing director over in India told me that during COVID, when all the factories were shut down, River Ganga, Mother Ganga is probably one of the world's probably is in the world's most polluted river, or one of them, that during the shutdown, when the rivers weren't being polluted from everybody being locked in the textile factories and whatnot, aquatic life that they had not seen for decades started to reappear. Birds started to reappear at the river. Now, I don't know what it is now that everything is back and running and they've lost it again, but it was almost that, wow, that if we take a look at our impact and just shift it slightly,
absolutely,
how we can restore the natural order of things.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just one example. Another example I have is we, many years ago, we used to just take cement, mix it in soil to get more suitable soils to build on. The remediation industry saw that and said, hey, we can lock contaminants in place with cement. And that's a big aspect of what I do now. It saves money. It's an environmentally friendly approach to cleaning up our environment. And so just looking at what sister and brother industries are doing can really propel innovation, and having more people sit at the table that might not be the same individuals that you work with, getting lunch or getting a cup of coffee with somebody in another industry can truly help drive innovation in the industry and help bring comfort to taking that risk that, while it might be a risk now, but once you learn more about it, that risk might go away. and help the innovation go forward.
I love that. It also falls into this. We have to stop being in little silos that I'm over here and you're over there, or us and them, because when it's all one planet, all one people. It's like there used to be that kind of division between, the water people, the drinking water, the potable water, and the wastewater people. Like, oh no, I'm water. Oh, well, no, I'm wastewater. But let's face it, or I'm stormwater. Let's face it, it's all cyclical. It's all
Absolutely.
one water. And I think we're finally starting to realize that everything is so interconnected more tightly than we probably have even ever imagined. And when you're talking about, I think about an organization like the ASE, think about how many different types of engineers that are working in so many different segments of our industry and different angles at it that could come at a problem.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think this is opening up a door here, this conversation for people to go,
I definitely encourage, go out, I enjoy networking with individuals, especially not in my industry, when I do work with ASE and other groups. And it's just great to hear what's going on, because it does open up ideas and can help individuals think about problem solving and working through our innovative struggles, because we have to be innovative. The change is here. We have to move with the change. AI, a lot of people are concerned with it. AI, it's a machine learning. You have to teach how to use it. But at the end of the day, if it helps you do some calculations because you don't have that engineer to support you anymore because there's less coming out of school, you still got to back check it. You still got to make sure the calculations are correct, which you would do that anyways if somebody else did it. But it's a tool that can help you and be more innovative in what we are doing. And it can help you find other ideas that you might have never even thought of that is out there on the internet to help you problem solve your situation and put you in the right contact with the right people.
Well, Ken, this has been a fascinating conversation. And I'm all about, we need to embrace things, new things, and not fear them. And so if somebody wants to learn more about the work that you do there at Tetra Tech or the organization, or, your ASCE organization, or you personally, how can they get in touch?
They can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm readily available on LinkedIn. Look up Ken Micah, and you'll easily find me. Otherwise, you can email me at ken.micah@tetratech.com. Usually it takes me about 24 hours to respond. It all depends on where I am traveling, whether it's for work or with ASE. But feel free to reach out. I'm happy. If I don't have an answer, I definitely will put you in contact with somebody I think that has the right answer you're looking for.
That's great. And Tetra Tech's website for the office that you're out of?
Tetra Tech's website is tetratech.com, and we're a very large organization, about 35,000 people worldwide in over 100 countries, and we've worked on all 7 continents. So we have a lot of innovators like the other companies that are out there as well.
Right. Well, again, I want to thank you for your time and sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us and our audience today. And thank you, audience, for tuning in. Hope you got something out of today's episode, and that you will avail yourself of the knowledge of this individual here and the organizations that he is so deeply involved in. I think there's a lot of value add to be found in the ASCE, and just what we talked about today, being unafraid to explore new possibilities. And so thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep it flowing. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you're ready to take your marketing to the next level and start increasing sales and opportunities for your business, reach out to us at Creative Raven. We're here to help you thrive in the digital landscape. Visit creativeraven.com or click the link in the show notes below to schedule a call and learn how we can support your growth. If you enjoyed the insights on today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe so you'll never miss an update. Until next time, keep growing and keep it flowing.